Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Hassett, and this episode is brought to you by our Patreon. If you enjoy the show and want to support, the link is in the description. But it's Purple Friday as we premiere the AFC Championship between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. This game's happening at the bank for the first time in franchise history, and we're doing something that we usually don't do on the show. We're not putting our bias aside. We're actually taking our bias. We're throwing it into the show, and we're saying the Ravens are going to win big. Patrick, how do you feel as Patrick Mahomes comes to Baltimore? And should we be feeling really good ahead of this matchup?
Josh, I'm feeling good. Maybe too good. And that's where I get concerned.
Right.
Here's what I don't like, Josh. I like when the Ravens are underdogs. I like when the country's not behind us. But this week, with the opponent, country's on our side. People are rooting for us. We're favorites.
It's
Josh, I don't like to say it, but it's almost too good to be true.
right. We're 4-point favorites, which is an interesting thing, especially in an AFC Championship game. But also, you're talking about the country being on our side, Patrick. I've actually seen both ways. I was on a post, and I'm in the for some reason I'm scrolling through Facebook quite frequently. I don't know why.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with Facebook.
They get you with like the clickbaity like stuff.
I'll tell you what. I'm keeping my Facebook fans updated.
Right. So I'm scrolling through Facebook, and it's a lot of AFC Championship preview stuff, and it's, in Lamar we trust. And then one comment will be like, Lamar, we need you. And then literally the comment under that was, Patrick Mahomes, please, like, you're our only hope. And then the comment under that, and I kid you not, I wish I took a screenshot, was something about, Lamar Jackson being overrated. And then one under that was something about, Patrick Mahomes being overrated. And it feels like there actually turns out a lot of Chiefs fans in this new wave of Chiefs fans. So you could say the whole country's on our side. I think a lot of the country's still on the Chiefs.
Right, but we're not here to talk about that. But Josh, we could break down who's for us, who's against us. But what we do know is, and Roquan has said it himself, doesn't matter where they're playing.
Right.
Doesn't matter who they're playing. He said we got an elite defense.
Right.
And that's why
we're the diamond making
Ravens
business.
It's diamond making business. I mean, you got to have
Well,
pressure for that.
we're also and we're in the show me business.
Also in the show me business.
We're in a few different businesses, and it seems to be working. Mark Andrews, though, coming back to our knowledge.
Yeah, it appears Mark Andrews will be back. He's been practicing in full this week. He practiced in full last week, did not get the elevation, but they did waive. Well, they waived Jeremiah Moon. He's a linebacker. That also means that Delshon Phillips will probably be good to go this weekend, which is the backup for Roquan. So that's good to have just in case, you get some insurance policy there.
Right.
So you remove Jeremiah Moon. Now there's an open 53-man roster spot. Would imagine Mr. Mark Andrews takes that spot, and it looks like you're getting the band back together.
My thing is, this is my concern. And I don't want to be that guy, because obviously adding a weapon is always good, but does adding Mark Andrews disrupt the rhythm that we have going right now? Because we've been finding our juice, and listen, for years, Mark Andrews was that safety blanket. He was the big white guy on the field that when things got tough, you could throw the ball to, and he was reliable. But now he was gone. He forced Lamar. He forced Lamar to really start finding his options and seeing the field. And I'm scared that when Mark Andrews comes back, it's going to be. I'm scared we could go back to our old ways.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to freak out too much about that, Josh, but I just want to, remind people that Mark Andrews, in Lamar Jackson, they've talked about it before. They don't play football, Josh. They play street ball.
Right.
They're out there, they're fine. And so that's not going to mess up the scheme at all, Josh.
Gotcha.
Because they're out there, they're playing street ball. It's a completely different style.
Okay, makes sense. So he's going to be. I mean, he's going to be an absolute asset weapon. I'm sure it's going to be unique out to see how him and Likely, because now Likely's definitely stepped up into like a prominent role. Like he's playing really well. He's making serious plays. How are they gonna be able to find that balance to utilize both of their skill sets? We will see. But it's all optimism coming from me, and we're very excited heading into the matchup. Patrick, the MVP finalists were released the past few days. We got 5. 2 of them are 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy. Dak Prescott is also on this list. Josh Allen also on this list. And then Lamar Jackson rounds it out, the 5. And I'll be honest with you, Patrick, the chatter has been a lot. People are saying that there's a world where Lamar Jackson might not win MVP.
And I don't think we live in that world, Josh. So I didn't even realize this was still a conversation.
Turns out it is.
But then they're right. And they released the 5 names, and then all of a sudden we got this conversation going again. And it's like, what more does Lamar have to prove? Like, you realize what's going to happen, right? Lamar's going to go out, he's going to win the AFC Championship, and he's going to win a Super Bowl. And then you know what people are going to say? Well, that was only 1 year. That was only a one-time run. And you start putting the pieces of the puzzle together, and it's like, well, why do the goalposts keep changing?
Right.
Here? And so Lamar can't do anything more. If you want to be completely honest and you want to look at Lamar's stats and say, you know what, they maybe aren't as good as a typical MVP could be. Okay, I'm fine with having that argument. But I'll tell you why he's still the MVP. Because no one else in the league ran away with the MVP while Lamar solidified it. Dak Prescott, he had his chance.
Right.
Choked down the stretch.
Right.
Tua Tagovailoa went into Baltimore. Got blown out of Baltimore.
Murdered, yeah.
Okay? Brock Purdy literally got benched in the game. Okay?
Right.
I don't know if an MVP has ever won MVP when they've gotten benched during the season.
Well, it was an injury. It was
an injury, but he was cleared, Josh. He was clear. He's cleared. He's cleared.
Okay.
He's cleared.
Right.
Christian McCaffrey, I think that's quite literally the only competition. And even then, Christian McCaffrey, he's had a very good season, but he didn't do anything special down the stretch. So you start looking around and you start going process of elimination. I think there's only one guy, and that's Lamar Jackson.
Fair. I think that's 100% fair. Lamar is my MVP, 100%. It's going to be interesting. The stars are going to be in the stadium. Obviously, we know who's going to be there. Pat Mahomes Sr., he's not going to be associating with those stars, though. He was asked, he said, hey, are you going to be in the booth with just, you guys know, you can imagine the crew. Just imagine the squad. Are you going to be with them? And he said, and I quote, I hope not. And that's clearly just because he's going to be so focused on the game that he's just like, he needs his own isolated spot. Or maybe he's not a booth guy. Maybe he's like, he wants to sit with the fans, like in.
He might be, yeah. And that helps him get acclimated to the game, right?
Right, because he's in there, and also his voice, like when he's cheering, and the Ravens are on offense, his voice is heard just a little bit louder when he's in the stands rather than in the box.
No, 100%. And it'll be interesting. So I'm sure that's not a shot against any of the superstars.
Right.
He just wants to focus on ball.
Right. Focus on ball, do his thing, get it done. And I'll be honest with you, Patrick, I don't know. I was watching some film breakdown the other day with Lamar Jackson.
Which is good.
And I really don't know how, when he's playing his best, how as a defense you stop what we do. And maybe that's why I don't get paid to do it. And so,
right.
But I do think it's going to be a tough challenge for the Chiefs when Buffalo kind of ran down the Chiefs' throat a little bit.
Well, and here's the thing about Kansas City. They are playing a lot better than they were playing earlier in the season. You got to give them credit for that. And that's why they're a serious opponent.
Right.
You can't overlook them, right? Because they got Pat Mahomes. And whenever you got Pat Mahomes, you always have a chance, right? That being said, I mean, they're not as healthy as they could be.
Yeah.
That's why having the number 1 seed and getting that extra bye week is certainly a huge help. Josh, I mean, if the Ravens don't get it done this year, are they ever going to get it done?
I mean, that's the question. That's the question. And if they do get it done this year, I mean, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we're talking dynasty is what's.
Yeah, we're talking dynasty. I mean, the statue's already being built.
Right. So we're gonna get there. It's gonna be exciting. I'm optimistic, and obviously I think the Ravens win, and it's a game that's not gonna be as close as people might think. It's my prediction, but
that's what I hate about it. That's what I hate about it, Josh. I don't want to overlook Pat Mahomes.
I'm not.
I don't want to but I think the Ravens win by double digits.
Could be, and that's not me getting ahead of myself, but also Patrick, I'm going to be there in the stadium cheering, and
you will have an impact,
and I will have an impact. And by the way, I brought my A game this year because obviously you saw all the penalties last week. I was definitely I was part of that.
You were part of that,
and you also have to remember, Patrick, the 2 games I've been to this year, we're talking about 2 games that were really impactful. It was the Dolphins game where we won by like 40, and then this game where we also won by, significantly above double digits. So, I've been on my A game. The fans have been showing up, and I'm excited to continue that momentum, keep it going. Moving on to the NFC side of the ball, we got Lions versus 49ers. 49ers, 2 MVP candidates, a plethora of Pro Bowlers, but our guy Jared Goff says, we got a good team too. He said, he was asked, he was like, hey, you see all these great players, and he said, St. Brown he's an all pro. It's like that's
Amon-Ra.
That's a big deal, is what he says.
They got good players too.
And
I mean, Josh, they get paid to play football too.
Right. And so I think it's actually going to be a really good matchup. And if we're talking about maybe the Packers are much better than we give them credit for, and I think they are a little bit of that. I mean, this 49ers team didn't look that special against the Packers. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah, I'm on the complete opposite train as you, Josh. I think the 49ers blow out. Well, I don't want to say blow out the Lions, but I think they win by double digits as well. I think the 49ers are just going to handle business, and this is going to be a Brock Purdy. This will be a Brock Purdy legacy check down game to Christian McCaffrey. I mean, it's just give it to McCaffrey, and he's going to make it work.
Right, and he's probably. I mean, Purdy might pass for like 300 yards because of that. Maybe 400.
Right. And it's only because Christian McCaffrey made like 8 guys miss.
Yeah. And now is Debo going to be playing, though? That's the question.
I mean, Debo, he looks good in practice. He looks good in practice right now. So I imagine that he's going to be suiting up.
So if Debo plays, that's actually going to be a problem. Because it turns out Debo, very good at football.
Because there's so many weapons, right? There's so many weapons. It's like, well, what are you going to do?
Right. I do think that the Lions listen, I think the Lions keep it close and maybe sneak out a win. I almost I'm almost viewing this Lions game as the Packers versus 49ers like last week, just because I feel like they're still good. They can keep it close and they can maybe sneak a win. And I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be all San Francisco, because, again, I don't think San Francisco looked super sharp in their last playoff game. And you could call that rust. You could call that whatever you want. But I personally believe that it's going to be close. It might come down to a kick kind of game, and then we'll see what happens. But the script says it's going to be, well, I've been hearing mixed opinions about the script. Some people are like, the script's going to be, Ravens 49ers because of the Kellers. Some people said it's always been Chiefs 49ers.
I saw some are saying it's Chiefs Lions.
Oh, I have seen that too. You're right.
Yeah, And so then it makes me start wondering that maybe the script has all the possible outcomes
Right.
in the
It's
script.
improv. It's improv.
Right, exactly. And we don't know what's going to happen there.
There's a chance. Okay, so moving on. Kirk Cousins not going to be a Viking next year. That's what we're finding out. They realized that they had to go against a generational player named Jordan Love for the next 10, 15 years. They said, okay, we need to get somebody younger. They're going to potentially draft somebody. Do we know who they're going to be drafting or no?
No, we don't really know. And that feels like that's a huge question mark that we're going to need to watch out for, because this is the best time to plan for the future, right?
Right.
Because you're sitting here on January 26th and the draft isn't until April. So you're sitting here, and for the next 3 months, Josh, you don't actually have to figure out who the guy is, but you can keep telling the fan base and yourself, well, we're drafting the next guy. And
Right.
that next guy is always going to have sky high expectations. So really, there's no wrong answer until the draft. I mean, this is a great spot to be in if you're the Vikings.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. What draft pick do they have?
Probably like after 10.
Okay, right. So they were actually too good this year, is what.
They were too good.
So what I'm thinking is this, because you always see these teams where they'll draft like a quarterback, right? And the quarterback turns out probably not that good, because most quarterbacks aren't that good. And then you're going to find yourself in a position where you need to get a new quarterback. And they got lucky because not every franchise is able to find a Kirk Cousins and actually have a franchise quarterback, right? So a lot of these teams they go from quarterback to quarterback, searching. What they should do is don't draft a quarterback and commit to being bad, so that next year you can draft Arch Manning.
That is a great idea, Josh, but they're gonna have to wait 2 years to do that.
Well, that's not true though, because we know Arch is going to be competing pretty heavily with Ewers for the starting job. So he might, and then he would be draft eligible, right?
No, because you have to wait 3 years after high school to be draft eligible. So you'd still have to
Oh,
wait
it's 3
no matter
years.
how good he is.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So he can't hop in the transfer portal and transfer to the Vikings.
Yeah. Sure, he can transfer to another Division I school. I mean, he could potentially go the XFL route, Josh. Or sorry, excuse me, the UFL. It's United Football League now.
Could he go? You could go the UFL this year.
He could go right now. Nothing's stopping him.
So then he would he be eligible? No, because then it still wouldn't be 3 years out of high school.
It's so I still don't think it. But you got to remember there might be a Manning exception. Like there could be in the rule book.
Got
it says
it.
his last name's Manning.
Okay.
Maybe we can.
So we're saying it's going to be 2. So they got stuck for 2 years, but that kind of really works out, because then they could get their like Myles Garrett equivalent or some really good defensive player.
Get a really good left tackle.
Right.
So this is a 2-year plan. And you got to make sure there's one guy that's not on that team. You got to make sure Joshua Dobbs isn't on that team, right?
Right.
Because he's going to give you that 2 to 3 week bump that may end all conversation to get that number one pick.
But spin zone.
Spin it.
You start him week 1 and you get the 2-3 week bump out the way. And then you're looking at like
maybe the worst quarterback in the league.
3 and 14.
Yeah, 3. Well, probably 2 and 15, because he probably wins week 1, loses a nail biter week 2, defense's fault.
Right.
And then he'll come back win week 3.
Right. So then you could go.
And then after that, they probably average 7 points a game.
Yeah. So then you go 2 and 15. You get the number 1 pick. You go draft a left tackle. Then
No. Time out, Josh. You trade back.
Get more
to
picks.
Like 10.
Oh.
Get more picks.
Right. Because hey, listen, you're committed to you're going to suck next year. But there's a world where then in that 2026 draft,
yes,
that you are just going and getting everybody. You're getting Arch Manning. You're getting
one.
the next really good guy that's going to be available there.
2. Yep.
And then probably
and then the other really good guy that's available there, 3. And you're going to get all 3 of them.
Right. And day one. And like, here's the thing, because then you're potentially setting yourself up for like a 2028, 2029 Super Bowl when, let's be real, even if you drafted somebody now, you're probably not going to find it's going to be a minute. It's going to be a while. You're not going to be in contention for a hot second, Minnesota. So you might as well just commit to losing, because then you at least have a chance.
So, yeah. So, on a Purple Friday, we just fixed the Vikings.
You're welcome, Minnesota. Bill Belichick still unemployed. We don't know what's happening because we don't know what's happening, Patrick. What is he going?
No, we don't.
He's not going to Atlanta?
Yeah, he's not going to Atlanta. And shout out to the Falcons for hiring the guy they did. Shout out to the Falcons for hiring the guy they had 3 years ago. That they hired him to the same exact job. And so it feels like they could have had him 3 years ago, but decided that wasn't the right time.
Right. So instead, but it's a classic. You got to go back to go forward, Patrick.
Thank you.
And so they recognize that. So Bill Belichick, what now? Did Bill Belichick say he didn't want the job, or did he not get offered the job?
It sounds like he was not offered the job. It sounds like they flew him out, and he had that second interview, and it wasn't good enough, Josh. And so sad day for Bill Belichick. And it doesn't seem like he has any other jobs on the table right now.
But is there a chance, Patrick, that he wasn't, it was, they say it's like it's business, not personal. But do you think this one was personal because they remembered, oh, we could won a Super Bowl, and you showed up?
Maybe it was personal. They brought him in, get his ideas, and then go, well, we can't ever hire this guy. He cost us a ring. And so it probably was personal. I would imagine Bill Belichick's probably filing that lawsuit as we speak.
What do we think that Bill Belichick? Okay, so if Bill Belichick doesn't coach here, and in this crazy world where he doesn't coach, is he just going to retire?
Yeah, I don't think so. And some people are saying, hey, you know what? Maybe he tries to coach in the Premier Lacrosse League. Maybe he tries to go back to his roots at Navy,
right,
and try to help them out. Well, Josh, I think there's one opportunity out there for a guy that needs a pick-me-up right now.
Right.
He's had a rough situation over the last year. He's trying to figure out his love life. He's trying to go through being mutually parted ways from. Josh, Bill Belichick has a chance to redeem himself and have the whole country come together as the next Golden Bachelor.
Ooh, wow. That would be something. Did the Golden Bachelor, the last one, is that done? Did he find his love?
Yeah, I mean they wrapped up that season, so I imagine they're trying to figure out who to get for season 2 right now.
Oh man,
the timing would work out really well, Josh.
And he's got money. He does a lot more free time on his hands.
A lot more free time.
And I mean, there's a lot that you could really be looking at.
One of his favorite holidays is Halloween.
Right, and he likes Halloween, and Halloween's a fun holiday, so that's like really going holiday for him. Get Bill Belichick on the next Golden Bachelor. I think that'd be good huge for him. Yeah, and maybe show him that there's more to life than coaching.
Right, but then he finds the love of his life, and then they move somewhere, and he redevelops his second love, and that's football.
Boom. You're welcome, Bill. Does Jim Harbaugh make Herbert not a fraud? This is a question I've been asking myself. Jim Harbaugh officially on the Chargers as their head coach. Now, we have what's called the Fraudcast here, and we can put that on the screen. The Fraudcast has been developed in a very scientific method. It's just, we don't really make it. It just we just detect it. And so, as you see here, Justin Herbert, he's been a fraud for a hot minute. It's been a while. Now, my question to you, Patrick, is does Jim Harbaugh actually coming in, and I've heard all the analysts say it, Colin Cowherd said he's about as a sure thing as it gets. Does he make Justin Herbert good? Like personally, and I'm just going to say this, I don't know if Jim Harbaugh can throw the ball for Justin Herbert, because I've been seeing him miss those guys. You know,
he would try. Have you seen Jim try to throw the football?
I'm not. It's good.
Oh, I mean, he warms up with the team, Josh. I mean, if he could put on the pads, he would.
He might. That could be the big strategy why he's coming back to coach.
And be like, well, if anything happens to Justin, our doctors have been known to puncture a few lungs. So if anything happens.
Right. We don't have to bring that up. Rest in peace, Tyrod.
It's Tyrod.
Tyrod Taylor. No, I do think that, I don't know. I mean, definitely is going to make the team better. I'm sure Herbert will get better consequently. I don't know if Herbert's going to enter the Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes conversation.
Josh, I have hope. And I think of this, Jim's family to me. I mean, he is. Jim's family. And you got to treat family with good intentions,
right?
Good hopes, and just with good vibes. And I think Jim's in a position to succeed.
Yep. I think so. That's fair. I think that's fair. Cool. Josh and Pat updates. Patrick, you got anything exciting happening here other than obviously, Purple Friday, Ravens play Sunday. It's a good feeling going into the weekend.
Yeah, just want to say happy 18th birthday to Mo Gabba today. It's nice to have Mo Gabba Day right before conference championship Sunday. It feels like it's a good, good vibes going in for Purple Friday, to have Mo on our side.
Love you, Mo. Yeah, that's awesome. We'll also... Yeah, Patrick, I'm going to be at the game on Sunday. I'm prepping. I'm feeling good.
Lido scarf. Good. Will it be on Sunday?
TBD. Supposed to be like...
I'll be wearing mine Sunday.
Like 60s.
I'll be wearing mine Sunday.
But I probably will have it accessorizing my outfit at the very least.
That's all it is.
And also, I think we're going to be debuting the purple camo pants.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
okay, Stabby baby.
So I think it's going to be a big deal. We've got a lot of exciting things in the works, but it's going to be a great weekend. It's going to be a great weekend. So that's the show, guys. Thank you for listening, watching, subscribing. Make sure you go to picksandpancakes.com to read everything that's happening in sports. Patrick, the Ravens just didn't go with black jerseys.
They didn't, and I thought they were, but I'm happy. Purple and black's a good combo. It's a winning combo in the playoffs.
Right.
To keep the good mojo.
Right now, if we had the option to wear that in the Super Bowl, do we wear that or do we go with white?
You don't have the option. To wear the black jerseys.
No. The purple on black in the Super Bowl is what I'm saying. Do you go the purple on black in the Super Bowl, keep that train going, or do you switch?
I think you wear white.
And you go to the white.
I think you wear white.
But
I'm not getting ahead of myself, though, Josh.
Right,
I'm not getting ahead of myself.
Right. I can't.
No.
But it's gonna be a conversation.
It is. It's a conversation for the next 2 weeks. I can tell you that.
Right. Anyway, guys, you have a nice day. A peace.